You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit Hiring System, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest.
When we were smaller, we were all generalists, right? A lot of us were doing almost everything. You know, I've worn that hat where I was out with a technician, being a coach and showing them how to do the work. Meanwhile, like going out to job sites, helping other people, and then dealing with office stuff. If you're a smaller organization, just be purposeful about it. Just make sure that you understand that it's important, and then set up some group trainings when it comes to that. Ask some of your other employees for help because they're all there. I mean, some people have more capacity than you think, and they could actually pick up one portion of the job.
For those of you that have listened to my last podcast show, today's guest will be someone that you've heard before. It's the second time I've had him back. I wanted him to share all the things that have happened over the last year inside of his company. He is making some big things happen. In fact, he's the CEO of the largest privately held plumbing company in California. Almost 500 employees. It's insane. And he's built this by surrounding himself with amazing people and putting amazing systems in place. But like so many other companies before him, he was really struggling with the retention side of business and has actually stopped some of the people from leaving by implementing some new processes that he is going to share with you today. So excited to have John Akhoian, the CEO of Rooter Hero, back on the show. John, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, great to be back, Ryan. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, so you were a guest on my old podcast, and then I launched this new one to focus more on people and the people side of business. You own one of the largest plumbing companies in California. You don't do that without understanding people. You don't do that without probably learning some things along the way. So for those people who are listening right now, what do you think the biggest myth is that entrepreneurs believe about people, or the things that allow you to grow your team as successfully as you have? What's that myth that you want to shatter for them right now? Tell them, hey, you got to stop believing this and do something different.
I think the biggest myth is that there's a talent shortage out there. I don't think that there is a talent shortage. I think there's quite a few people out there. I think it's definitely not as easy to find talent, but they're out there and they're looking for great companies to work for. And I think the myth is that there's not enough people in the blue collar trades. There's not enough people that are out there and you have to create your own, which is somewhat true. But, you know, at the same time, there's a lot of great people out there looking for great companies to work for. That's a myth that's out there.
Yeah, I agree with you on everything you just said. And I think the part that you said that I really like is that there are people looking for great companies.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurs that I talk to in the trades, they don't have a hiring problem as much as they have a retention problem. They're hiring people. Like there's people that want these jobs. You may not want to spend enough time with them to teach them the skills or to help them or coach them. I think the other thing more importantly is, like you said, they want a great company to work for.
Absolutely.
And if you don't come across and you don't present as a great company, you might struggle in that space.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
We do quite a few things. In fact, I mean, we had a retention problem as well. We had not a big turnover at the top of the funnel, I guess, where it was more of a retention problem with people that came in that were new to our organization. And we kept struggling with it because there was like the people coming in and out. Once they were here for like 3 months, they were here for a long time. But it was that initial 3 months. And we had we're scratching our head going, what can we do to make things better? And we came up with bringing on a full-time onboarding person, somebody that actually takes the time to sit down with every employee that comes in, onboards them properly, make sure they're trained properly, puts them through the whole training process. They're not the ones training, but they're the ones watching them get through the whole training process. And then meeting them every so often and like assigning a buddy to that person. creating a friend in that organization. Because when they come in new, a lot of times they don't know everybody there. And that one person that actually takes that person and wants the best for that person, that does the ride-alongs and becomes that buddy that is going to make sure that if they have a question, they could call somebody that knows more about the organization. That's really helped us with our retention issue. That's the hole in the boat, right? If you don't retain your people, they keep going out there. You're just constantly losing and you have to replace more people. The way we solved it at Hero Land is by having that being a full-time position, somebody that'll actually make sure that we do onboard everybody properly, because I think that goes a long way on keeping your retention.
I love that idea of them almost having someone to guide them through the process. You'd mentioned 90 days. If you can keep them past 90 days, then they're going to stick around for a while. So does your onboarding manager spend that full 90 days with them and coach them and guide them through the process?
They constantly contact them within the 90 days, meaning that they're constantly calling, they're checking up on them, they're talking to the manager, and they're making sure that there's somebody in contact with them. But just to make sure that somebody is onboarded properly in an organization like ours, where we're spread out, we have multiple locations, multiple offices. What we found is that we didn't have the consistency in onboarding people. It was a little different in one of our centers than it was at another center, and everybody had a different onboarding process. Even though it was similar and written similar, a lot of times the managers in those divisions got busy day to day, and sometimes people weren't onboarded properly. And then when you don't onboard somebody properly and train them properly to get the job done, a lot of times they feel like they failed and they haven't been able to fulfill the role. And sometimes they leave thinking that they're in the wrong place or they're not fit for the job or something like that. But when you train them and onboard them properly, you give them a head start in success, right? You show them the KPIs, you show them how to use the software, you go back and you test them. And even going beforehand, we created a process of making sure that we have the right fit people in the right positions as well. So we're profiling people as they come in to see if their natural abilities fit that job position, to make sure that we're not putting a square peg in a round hole. We're not asking somebody to do something that they're not naturally good at doing as well. So we're using DISC profiles, Kobe profiles, all kind of different profiles for different positions to make sure that we have the right person that's going to be successful in that job description that we're giving them, because they have the natural ability to do that.
Oh, I think that's great. I love DISC and Colby and those behavioral assessments to really understand their natural ability and what they're more inclined to do. So that onboarding manager spends a lot of time with them, or at least is there to guide them through the process. It's not like the onboarding manager is like, okay, you got your I-9 and your W-4 done, you're onboarded. It's not that. It's definitely spending a lot more time with them, right?
In fact, he's calling me right now.
Yeah. Ears are ringing. You also mentioned the buddy program, and I love this because Gallup says that one of the highest indicators of whether or not someone's engaged is whether or not they have a best friend at work. And so this buddy program is giving them this built-in friend. I love that. A question for you. Do people raise their hands and say, I'll be a buddy? Or is this something that is just part of them being in their role? How do you guys handle that?
So we have certain people that we select in the organization that are good at like helping somebody understand, like they do ride-alongs and they'll get in a van with somebody. And they're semi-trainers as well, besides being buddies. So they get passed along once they're onboarded, and we go through our onboarding videos and on our onboarding training and everything else. They get passed along to somebody that'll actually work with them hands-on and make sure they understand the job as well. And then that person will sort of be there for them throughout their career with the company. And if they have any questions, they feel free to call them, or the onboarding manager follows up with them and make sure that, hey, how's it going? How's your first 30 days at Hero Land? Is everything going okay? What are some of the struggles? What can we help with? Besides that, having like welcome packages as well for our new employees, just swag bags with a bunch of company logo stuff in there, like a backpack with all kinds of stuff in there. Stuff that makes them feel good about joining the team.
I love that. What you're describing there is that good company culture that people are looking for. You've become very intentional about it with the onboarding manager and them having a guide, with the buddy system and someone they can just turn to when they have questions and not have to feel like an idiot because they didn't know the answer. Like they got someone they can call and they don't have to worry about their boss going, hey, how do you not know that already?
Yeah.
And the swag bags and just making them feel like they made the right decision. I love that.
Yeah, it really goes a long way. Those little things make a big difference. And we found that these were all the areas that we were failing in, right? We weren't doing a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about now. And by getting really purposeful about the position and putting somebody in charge of making sure all of that gets done, and then incentivizing them to make sure, hey, you're incentivized on the retention numbers. We're going to measure it 30, 60, 90 days. And we want to make sure first we hire the right people and then we train them and then we keep them, right? Those are the three main things that we want.
So I know that you'd mentioned that we don't have a labor shortage. There are plenty of people that want these jobs, especially with the right company. But I imagine you still have to bring in some people that maybe don't have the full skill set, that don't have the 5 years experience, which is what everybody seems to want in a technician these days.
Well, we have entry-level positions. Not all jobs require 5 years of experience. We have guys that have come in that have just mechanically inclined. They really know how to use their hands. They're mechanically inclined. Mm-hmm. They know how to hold the wrench properly. They've changed tires before. Maybe they were a mechanic on a vehicle, or they were working in construction doing framing or drywall or something. And then we'll get them into an entry-level position, which is typically some light plumbing, drain cleaning, light plumbing. We'll do mock-ups. We'll do ride-alongs. We'll send them out there. And some of it also comes out of our labor pool as well. We have guys they're laboring. They were digging ditches, or they were a plumber's apprentice. We put these guys through 8 to 12-week program, and then they're ready to take on a service call. And if they get stuck, we got tech support, right? We got somebody that'll shoot out there and help them or guide them over the phone. We've created hundreds of how-to videos that are on our internal drive, which we call SkyPrep. And they could go and look at a video. They're like short 2-3 minute videos that show them exactly how to fix certain things. All of that are tools that help them not need the 5-year experience, but be able to get by.
You're a large company. How many employees do you have?
We're
ballpark.
Probably about 500.
500. Okay. You guys have grown a little since the last
High
week.
fours, maybe light fives, something like that.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for someone who's not 500 people strong and can afford a dedicated onboarding person and some of these training programs? Maybe someone that's maybe got 8 or 10 techs in the field. They're just getting started. They're like, I really want to do the stuff that John's talking about, but for whatever reason, there's a bottleneck or there's a belief that they can't make it happen. What advice do you have for those people that want to be able to do this, but maybe don't have the resources?
Like, if you want to do this, you don't have the resources. When we were smaller, we were all generalists, right? A lot of us were doing almost everything. I've worn that hat where I was out with a technician, being a coach and showing them how to do the work. Meanwhile, like going out to job sites, helping other people, and then dealing with office stuff. If you're a smaller organization, just be purposeful about it. Just make sure that you understand that it's important, and then set up some group trainings when it comes to that. Ask some of your other employees for help, because they're all there. I mean, some people have more capacity than you think, and they could actually pick up one portion of the job. Assign champions, right? Assign people that'll take that task and say, hey, 1 out of the 10 might be your onboarding manager while he's doing something else. Because some of these guys and people that are out there will take on the task if you give it to them, knowing that, hey, I'm going to take on this part of the company role, and I'm going to help out in this area.
Ask for help. That's something I think that is often overlooked, is to think that you can't go to your people and say, hey, I need your help, because they'll look at you as weak or as you don't have a plan. But what I found is, and you probably found this too, is your people want to help.
Absolutely.
Especially the right ones. For the technicians that are working the crazy hours because you're short-staffed, they definitely want to help. And if they don't, their spouses want them to help. Like, that is definitely one thing that we use to help people really overcome any labor shortage or staffing issues is just to embrace your team and say, hey, how can you help me do this? And they almost always are up to the call. So you've got some books that you've written to help entrepreneurs really understand what your journey was like, the things that you accomplished, full of tips and everything else. Tell us a little bit about how people can learn more about John and what you're doing over there and your books that you have available.
Yeah, there's a couple ways. You could go to our website, rooterhero.com/books. There'll be a lot of resources there. Wrote 5 different books, and a lot of them should be there. If you click on the name of the book, it'll take you to an Amazon link. That'll take you to Amazon, or you could go directly to Amazon or Audible. Just type my name, John Akhoian, JohnAkhoian. It'll come up on Audible or Amazon. All of the books are easy to get to. They're short, they're not long, and they're very resourceful. We share a lot of what we're doing at Hero Land in the books, and a lot of them will give you some nuggets that you can apply into your business.
I've read one of your books, and I just love how you encapsulate the personal element into it, like kind of what you went through on your journey and shared the lessons, the things that you learned. There's a wealth of information there. And I know that you also do additional podcasts. I mean, this is the second time I've had you here. If people want to learn more about you and what you're up to and be more real time, is there a way where they can connect with you directly?
Yeah, definitely. If you go to our website, rooterhero.com, and go to About Us, my email address and cell phone number is right there in that page. So feel free to call me, text me, email me. I'm very easy to get a hold of. Yeah, a lot of the information is just on our website.
Are you still in the process of looking for maybe smaller shops to join your team? Are you still looking to acquire? I mean, I think that was one of your growth strategies last time we talked. Is that something that you're still working on?
We have an acquisition team that reaches out to companies. And in fact, I have a couple of meetings this week with some companies that are in areas that we're not in that want to join our movement, and want to meet with them and see if it's a good fit. And yeah, that's still part of it. If you're running a plumbing company and want to join our team and still be able to be in the leadership role, just not take on the headaches of the day-to-day business, we'd be happy to talk to you about that as well.
Yeah. And I think there's an opportunity then for those of you listening that might be of interest to you. If you own a plumbing company, you get access to John's resources, the onboarding manager, the buddy programs, all this other stuff that he's built probably comes with that. Yeah. I love just how you broke this down and started with the idea that if you're a good company, people will want to come work for you.
Yeah.
And just being purposeful, being intentional about it, having a plan, just like you did with the onboarding manager, the buddy program, really profiling people to make sure you're putting them in the right role, giving them swag bags to take home to their friends and family, go, look what I got my first day of work, which is that's pretty unique in your space. That's not something we see happen a lot. And then I love how you wrapped it up with just ask for help. I mean, just spend time with your people and say, hey, I've got some ideas. I need your help. I don't have all the answers. And I'm sure that's why you've built the amazing team you have, because there were times where you're like, I don't have the answers. Let's go find someone that does, bring them in. And now you've grown to be the largest plumbing company in California, which is amazing. John, thank you so much for being a 2-time guest on the show. I always have so much to learn. And for those of you listening, go check out his books. Reach out to him. John's a super easy guy to get a hold of and just a wealth of knowledge. John, I want to thank you for being here again on the show.
Thank you, Ryan. It's always a pleasure talking to you. A lot of great questions. And thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you. Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.